WeAfric is on a mission to make real change by facilitating solutions for our everyday lives. We'll be joined by professionals and influential individuals to share with you their journey and recipe for success. We ask about their methods and experience. Is it their career, their education, or is it their background? This is our secret sauce to enlighten, uplift, and empower the community where we are all special. Welcome to WeAfric Tips, where our support is our actions. If they don't believe you, tell them to subscribe to this channel. In this video today, you're going to learn top tips for getting into fashion, garment, and product technologists with our special guest, Irene Adjei. You learn some unique strategies for growing fast that we can all apply. Coming right up. Please welcome our guest, Irene Adjei. Thank you so much, Irene. So you've got 10 lovely tips for us today, and I'm really looking forward to this. Please let us know what you got for us.
Fantastic. Well, I think my first interview, I spoke about my industry, which is fashion. Good. And then you asked for any tips for anyone, aspiring to work in fashion. So I'm going to generalize it. I'm going to see it as someone who's graduated. Tip number one, do your research, look at different roles in the fashion industry, get familiarized with the roles requirement. So look at what they're looking for like a designer, for a buyer, for merchandiser, for visual merchandiser, and then figure out whether it's what you want to do. Yeah, I would say that's definitely the most important thing.
Okay, so basically being very specific in terms of which direction you want to go.
Yeah, try to be.
Okay. What's the next tip that you can advise to our...
So the next tip is probably try to be willing to do some apprenticeship or voluntary work, some work experience in the industry, just to familiarize yourself with, really the hands-on experience. Yeah, so you can contact the companies directly.
Okay.
Or sometimes you can even contact your university to see if they offer any apprenticeship. There are different companies in the industry that also you can go through to do apprenticeship.
Okay.
So yeah, that would definitely be the second step.
Okay, excellent stuff. This is really, really good. So I think for all the viewers out there who want to get into fashion, just be willing to work and get some experience just to get your foot in the door.
Yeah. So number three, once you're working in the company, work across different departments. Work at merchandise department, buying department, technical department.
Okay.
And that way you can get a real experience of what is required. But bear in mind, everyone works together to bring the product together from concept to bulk and into store.
Okay. So team working is quite essential.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
So the next tip is to get a mentor if you can, or your big sister, big brother sort of buddy.
Okay.
And that's just really to give you a bit of direction, to have a conversation about how you feel your skills fit into the working about, or even your personality as well.
I could imagine there's quite a lot of strong characters within this industry. So your personality has probably got to be...
Definitely. There's a lot to fight through psychologically. So having that mentor, whether it's in the industry or out of the industry, really helps.
Okay. Excellent.
And then I would say the next thing is to persevere. Just persevere, because it is, like we said earlier, there's a lot of strong characters.
Yeah.
There's also the whole, hierarchy thing where buyers, for example, are seen as, like the top.
Okay.
And sort of sometimes, predict things. So yeah, just to persevere. There will be long hours, but persevere, because it is it can be enjoyable, but no one day is the same. That's definitely. You can have this is what I think is going to happen today, and then it could all change. So be willing to be just flexible, always working as a team, because obviously we work with delivery date as well. So you always have to communicate that if you're going to be late, you have to be. It's really a multi-skilled role, whatever role you go into. because you have to always be communicating with your colleagues as to what's happening, if things are running late, if you think you're going to delay, if you think you're going to do something too early. So it's really being a team person,
Okay.
a team player.
Nice.
Try and get some official training, whether it's within the company or outside the company. Even if you can do like evening courses to support, the area of interest, just to sort of give you that confidence as well.
Okay. And
because you can really learn varied things. So sometimes you just need to tie it together a little bit.
Okay. And the training is usually conducted in-house, or is it just outside?
It depends. If you want to learn pattern cutting, you go to a college and learn pattern cutting. So you could do an evening course and learn pattern cutting. If it's more to do with interpersonal skills, then sometimes the company may offer that internally.
Okay. So there's enough support system within the company structure to make sure you...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's presented to you and sometimes you have to ask for it.
Okay. It's true.
Depends on the company. Also be willing to work on the different sides. So you have a supplier side and you have a retail side. So the retail side could be working in the head office of, let's say, your New Look or your River Island or your Topshop, whichever. Yeah. And the supplier side is the people who make the product. So they communicate with the factory. Someone on the retail side will feed the comments to them, say, oh, I want the sleeve length to be a long sleeve and no longer short sleeve. I want the body length to be, to the knee length at this measurement. So they will give that information to a supplier. The supplier will give that information to their factory, and then the factory make it, give it back to the supplier, and then the supplier goes to a meeting with the retailer, and then we look at the whole garment again. So be willing to work on both sides because they work a bit slightly different, but it really helps when you have that knowledge.
Yeah.
Of being that much more closer to this factory, because especially from the technical roles, it gives you more of understanding of how the garment is made and remade, and to meet the requirements coming from the head office. It would probably be better to even start from the supplier side and then work your way towards the retailer side, because you have that understanding, and then when you're communicating with the supplier, what you say makes sense. What you're asking is something that they can actually do. Okay. And it's not impossible, it's practical.
Okay, so I was going to ask, what happens if the supplier cannot provide the alterations? What do you guys normally do here?
If the supplier cannot provide, this is what I mean, if you've worked on the supplier side, you will know whether what you're asking for is possible or not.
Okay.
Because if you say, okay, that whether they can shorten the garment or they can't shorten the garment. So that's where, by, working from that side and then going up, because then that what you're asking for is relevant. However, if they're not able to do it for any reason, obviously they will communicate back as to what the reason is. Is it shortage of fabric? Is it the fabric direction? Or is it the character of the fabric? Maybe they can't get that stretch or that drape because of the character of the fabric. Then they will always have a suggestion to say, we can't do it, but this is what we can do. Sometimes it could be because of cost. Maybe what you're asking for will cost a lot more because it will consume more fabric or more time to do it. And it will not meet the delivery date. So again, you communicate that to the retailer, and then obviously you then work between yourselves as to the next step forward. So this is what I mean by you're always communicating with other people. You never really work as a singular all the way through.
Oh, excellent. Wow. It's very involved and hands-on.
Yeah. And then I would say, what I have done, and many people do that, is like spend about 2 years or a year in one company and then jump and work in other companies. Don't jump too much, but jump in a sense to get the varied ways that people work. Because different companies work a bit differently. So it's just getting that different handwriting. I think it does help. Not to be like stagnant in your ways of working or looking at things.
And in terms of the roles, once you're in the industry, is it a lot more easier to maneuver and jump between different companies?
Definitely, because a lot of the times, like let's say your retailer will work with different suppliers. They don't just have one supplier making a product. So you get to know all the different suppliers. So if you work on retail side, you communicate with varied suppliers. So again, your name gets around in terms of how you work, and so forth. And people move around a lot. So again, there'll be someone who knows you from, your previous place. Very tight industry, funding. So yeah, it is to jump around. But yeah, not to jump around too much, but definitely to, work in other places as well.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
My last bit would be to get a hobby, because it can be very consuming industry. It can take, long hours, and sometimes you forget to do other things. So to get yourself a hobby and have a bit of a personal life, because it's so easy to let that slip, for a very long time. So get yourself a personal life, and so definitely have some outside activities and other interest.
Okay. Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. And I know, as you said, in terms of the hierarchy, the buyer, it's a bit strange that I would think the buyer is the person who's most considered as the most highest.
It's a very strange, because they see the buyer as like the salesperson who sort of sees what the customer would buy, and so that attracts the money to the company.
Okay.
So that's how they look at it. So even though the garment technologists bring the product together and make it what it is, if you make it what it is and it doesn't sell, but if the buyer can say, okay, put this color together, this print together, do this, and then she has the eye for what the customer would buy.
Okay.
Then they're looking at her or him as the person. It's like I don't know, I'm trying to see what I can relate it to in other industries. I guess it's like, let's say if you make furniture and you make a wardrobe, but it's a basic wardrobe and no one buys it. Yeah. But if a designer or if a salesperson says, well, I know my customer really well, and I know that in Ghana or in, Gambia, they like it this way, they like this design, they like this pattern, they like this, make it this way, and I can guarantee you'll sell, that this color will sell, this handle will sell. Yeah. And then that person who makes it then does that and it sells. Yeah, you can make it, but if it's not selling, then, and that person comes and put the finishing touch and makes the sale.
Yeah, I would almost consider the design technologist and the marketing, whoever does the marketing, almost more important.
I know, but apparently I don't always agree with it, and I don't get it either. But the buyer position is very strong in the industry. I mean, if they don't like you, they can make your life difficult, and you can easily lose your job.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just be nice to the buyer.
So even though I could do all this wonderful work, which you've seen on my Instagram, in the industry, because of that, if you're not able to gel with it, I know.
There's the fire exit.
Yeah. Here's a P45. And that's why a lot of people that's why a lot of technologists jump around, because like sometimes the buyers are just too much to work with.
Okay. Oh well, it's good to know. Yeah, you just for me, it still just bugs me just to think. I would think, okay, the person who's designing, he or she, and then the marketing strategist or the marketing team, these two, I mean, you can pick whatever you want to pick, but if the marketing is not right, I mean, it's never going to sell,
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's just strange.
Even the designer in the industry is kind of sometimes at the bottom. I would say it's on par with the technologist.
Are you serious?
Because you can design, but if the buyer think it's not going to sell, then you have to redesign.
Wow.
So unless you can really fight and argue your point of view as to why you've got that, then fine. But the buyer has the final say.
Okay. So I'm just now thinking, what about these big brands who generally just sell? Is it just based on marketing? Because I'm just thinking.
No, the big brands, funny enough, they work differently from your fast fashion. The big brands actually value the designer more.
Okay.
Sometimes the big brands, they don't even have a buyer, they just have a designer and a product person at the technology and work together.
Ah.
Because they're more of a brand, they're more of a design, it's more longevity.
Okay.
It's not like, this sells, this sells, this sell. Because
Okay.
they know that when you're buying the product, you're buying the design.
Yeah. Okay.
And so they have a different way of thinking.
Okay. Okay.
To the fast fashion, your Primark and your New Look and But even at River Island, to a point, the designers are valued a bit more.
Okay.
But still, you have a buyer who is above it all.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I think I know what your next job application is going to be there.
This is why, what I do in the industry is completely different from what I do in my own on my own, because when I'm on my own, I don't have anyone sort of fighting me and blah blah blah. So it's all about my vision, my work, my data. So everything sort of comes out, and you see a completely different person almost. Like a lot of people who knows what I do in the industry, they probably would not be able to look at Accommode and think I did it.
Okay.
And it's because they don't really allow you to sort of, unless you have that feisty personality to fight through for them to see you, but they don't see you.
Okay.
Because, unless you're doing a certain role or certain sort of character, they don't really see you. But yes, I'm a bit quiet, but I'm very talented.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. That was very, very insightful. Yeah, it's kind of just opened my eyes to think, okay, I just usually just go to the store and be like, oh, okay, can I try this one? I like this, and then you just part with your cash. And that's it, job done.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. So anyone who's looking to get into fashion, product design, technical side, supplier side, these kind of tips would or should basically get you into the door. But as Irene definitely alluded to, you have to persevere, be willing to be flexible, working long hours. Just adapt, get skills through training, mentorship. Yeah, there's a lot of gems that you've given out to our audience. And we truly are grateful to have people like you out there.
Thank you.
So,
it's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope you have an absolutely fantastic, lovely day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did. What was your favorite tip? Leave your comments down below. Be part of the WeAfric family. Like, subscribe, and share. And remember, we're here to shake things up, reverse the flow, and be great. I am because we are.